If you want a great life, there can be no days off. No days off. The desire to improve. No days off. Wanting better for your life and those you care about. You're going to have days where you go backwards instead of forwards. You're going to have days where you make mistakes, where you screw up, where you fail. Yes, there will be bad days. There's going to be days where it seems like everything and everyone is against you. But on no day will you give up. There will be no day that you will give in. There will be no day.
The facts, dates, and events presented in this video are from the members' best recollection and may not be fully accurate. This video is intended for entertainment purposes only. Always consult with your local union about your rights and duties at your workplace. The opinions shared on this video are our own and do not necessarily represent my employer's positions, strategies, or opinions. All views shared are protected under the National Labor Relations Act.
Hey, brothers and sisters, welcome to the next episode of the Biweekly Grievance. I'm your host, Dan Arlin. This week, we're going to cover an interview I came across on CNBC of Carol Tome talking about the first quarter earnings this year. But of course, she had to take her shots at the Teamsters and about the contract and, playing the role of, we pay these guys very well and trying to make us out to be greedy Teamsters. So I'm going to break down that interview. Just so you guys know, I've had several requests to make the show a true audio podcast similar to the Upsurge. I am looking into that and working on that. This week, happy Memorial Day. One day a year that we focus on remembering the servicemen who we've lost over the years, the ones that didn't make it home. And it's an important thing to acknowledge. I'm a veteran of the United States Air Force. So this day means a little something to me. Also, just a quick note before we get into the interview, and then, of course, I'll wrap up the episode with the normal announcements and updates. But this week, there is no national negotiations for UPS and the Teamsters. Last week, they did have negotiations, and the talks centered around technology such as drones, inward-facing cameras, autonomous vehicles that threaten union jobs, subcontracting, PVDs, and SurePost. There was information that the language on the SurePost has been adjusted, and there's a tentative agreement on language to reduce not only the weight but the size of SurePost packages. So we'll wait to see what that is, but that should bring some volume back in the building. I mean, personally, it bothers me that we had nationwide layoffs of 22-4 drivers, regular drivers, inside people, because they claim volume issues, but yet we're still sending packages to the post office. And I understand that they're not required to stop SurePost unless FedEx gets rid of their version of SurePost. But I just don't understand how, even if they only make a little bit of money on the SurePost, it's still better to have our guys out there. Certainly this company's not going to go broke delivering those packages. Makes no sense to me. As far as I know, there's still 2 outstanding supplements. The Louisville, I don't know all the particulars, but the Air Rider Hub, my understanding is one of the sticking points is they want a minimum guarantee. I guess currently right now they don't have one, and the employees don't park at the facility. They have to park elsewhere and are shuttled in. And some of these people are going through that process. Just imagine waiting for a few minutes for a shuttle and then getting over to the building. Let's just say all that is a 15-minute process just to get over to the building to find out that there's no work. And then you have to wait for the shuttle and then transport back. So you're wasting a half hour, 40 minutes of your life to find out there's no work, not to mention the prep time of coming to work and getting ready and whatnot. So I don't know this for verbatim, but my understanding is that they're pushing for at least a 2-hour guarantee, which is is right. It should be more than that. I mean, all our other part-timers are guaranteed, I think, 3 or 3.5, depending on where you are. And then the other one is North Cal. There's several pending issues on the Northern Cal. One of them is over a sitting arbitrator. The union is opposed to it there. They have their own reasons for it. Locally, I guess they feel like they've done better without one. And according to everything else I've seen nationwide, they've gotten sitting arbitrators everywhere else now under the new tentative agreements. So we'll see how that works out. I do have a thing I'll put up that shows all the issues that Northern Cal is working on right now, but hopefully they get that resolved soon, because Sean did say he would shut Nationals back down if they didn't finish up these supplements. So maybe they'll address it when they go back next week. Certainly not fair to those members that this is taking so long. Okay, well, here we go. Now we'll dig into this Carol Tome video that I found on CNBC. It's an absolute joke. Much of what she said, like typical management, when she opens her mouth, she's just lying. So here we go.
Negotiations with the Teamsters, the biggest union at UPS. Now, according to your data and Teamster data, the Teamsters, they make up roughly about 2/3 of your workforce. Their contract expires in July. You have said very optimistically that it's possible for a win-win-win, a triple-sided win. But at the same time on today's call, you said these negotiations, they are weighing on your business. It's stopping you from making some sales. It's also stopping you from being able to win some new customers. So can you explain, how is a win-win-win possible with that setup?
Well, I think it's important to note that we've been with the Teamsters for over 100 years. We invited the Teamsters to join.
Jesus Christ.
Carol. Triple win? Are you serious? You guys have taken national negotiations piss poorly and have not been serious, and, starting off with asking for a cost neutral contract. And no, Carol, you didn't invite the Teamsters into UPS. Jim Casey, the original founder of UPS, brought the Teamsters in to protect his employees before he gave up control of his company. You, my friend Carol, are trying to union bust the Teamsters with privatization, Uberizing, PVDs, and subcontractors. So please don't act like you had anything to do with that. That's absolutely insane. Jim Casey's, rolling in his grave over how poorly you're treating the employees he worked so hard to protect. All right, let's listen to more of this garbage.
This is not our first rodeo. We've negotiated contracts over 100 years. And I'm delighted where we are with the Teamsters today, because if you think about our North Star, where we both want to go, that is a growing and thriving UPS. It's good for Teamsters, it's good for UPS, and it's good for our people. So we are aligned on our North Star. Now, there are issues that they have raised that they'd like to work through, and we'd like to work through those issues too. We're not far apart on the issues. We just need to get to the bargaining table and work it out. So I'm highly confident that we will deliver a handshake by the time our contract expires the end of July.
Now, there's something we can agree on. UPS is the best delivery company by a long shot, and we do have some common goals. We both want to see UPS succeed, both in customer service and in profits, and not for your greedy reasons, but because obviously profits lead to better contracts, etc. We're not that far apart, Carol, really. Either you're so out of touch with what's going on in your facilities that you think we're close on the contract issues, or you're willing to go that far to deceive the shareholders and the public, as well as throwing in, that little subtle jab that we're greedy Teamsters, when you fail to mention the working conditions and the pay of over 2/3 of the members that work at UPS. Up until now, you guys have made a mockery of negotiations, supplements starting either late January or early February, and when National was supposed to start April 17th, you guys hadn't even ratified or tentative agreement 30 of our supplements. Sean delayed Nationals along with Fred, and you guys finally came to your senses on 28 of the agreements. But even now, you guys are still playing games with the last two, almost daring Teamsters to shut down national negotiations. The things that these two supplements are asking for are not big asks. Ridiculous. He goes on.
I think there's something to keep in mind, Frank, about our Teamsters. Do you know that our drivers make $93,000 a year? They have benefits worth $50,000, and they pay nothing for health care. These are high-paying, great jobs. That's important to keep in mind, and I'm proud of that.
Wow. Just give me a second. One more second. Almost done. Just looking for the information that she's I don't see it. Carol, nowhere in the Teamsters strike issues, their talking points, their fact sheets, their memes, nowhere do you find anything stating that we are complaining about what full-time drivers make at UPS? You said that because you took the premier job at UPS and are trying to highlight it to make the public think that we're all making $100,000 a year with benefits and no copay for insurance, and that's so far removed from the truth. The only pay issues you're going to see in our contract demands, I mean, yes, we are a union. You guys have made record profits. So, of course, we're going to ask for a pay raise for the full-timers. But that's not a strike issue. The pay for our part-time workers, more than 2/3 of your 350,000 employees make near poverty wages. They make the same amount of money for the physical brutality jobs that they work inside your facilities for about the same pay you can get nowadays for working at McDonald's and gas stations, etc. Now, I'm not slamming those jobs. I'm just making a comparison that you can stand behind a counter, run a register, and put food in a bag and hand it to the customer, which is not easy. I'm not, again, not comparing that, but the fact that our warehouse workers work in such piss poor conditions, heat boxes, no air conditioning. They're wet from the moment they start working till they go home. They face a real risk of injury and a real risk of heat injuries and even fatalities. And those are the strike issues: working conditions, safety, our members dying in the back of their package cars with recorded temperatures in the 150s, 160s. Heat stroke, heat fatality. Chavez in California, the day after his 24th birthday, collapsed and died in the back of his UPS car because it was so hot back down there, his organs shut down. Are you kidding me? And you want to sit here and talk about, what the full-time drivers are making to throw the spotlight on the Teamsters as if we're some sort of greedy people? You guys want us to work in these unreasonable conditions, making record profits. You would rather spend money on inward-facing cameras to spy on those employees than to provide a adequate air conditioning or cooling off system in each vehicle so that those drivers can have recovery between stops or on their breaks and lunches. They can shut the door and cool off and restore some of their body. No, you would rather portray to the public that we're all making great money. Bullshit.
What? A bullshit? A bullshit? A bullshit. A bullshit.
Our part-timers have lost pay over the years. Back in the 80s, it was considered a very good part-time job, making more than the average part-time job did. And over the years, with inflation and profits soaring at UPS, their pay raises have been so insignificant that they are way behind where they should be, just keeping up with inflation. Almost $10 an hour less than where they should be. So yes, their pay is a strike issue, but you don't mention that, Carol, do you? We continue.
It became quite true that UPSers are essential.
Wait, what? Say that again, Carol?
It became quite true that UPSers are essential.
So now we're essential workers again. Funny how that works. When the pandemic was going on and you wanted the glory for UPS and the media, you called us essential workers. Then you start negotiations on the supplements asking for a cost-neutral contract and act like we had nothing to do with those record profits. Now, because you're in front of a camera again, now you're going to call us essential workers. Which is it, Carol? You know, we didn't get any hazard pay or any extra pay. Now, granted, we worked overtime, so we made more money, but what did the company give us during the pandemic to reward those workers for risking their health and safety coming in during a pandemic when everybody else was at home to keep supplies moving for people in their houses, which we had absolutely no issue doing with? But do you think that we're not entitled to a piece of that pie? You have made $46.6 million in the last 2 years yourself personally. You guys have spent billions in stock buybacks, profiting the shareholders, and you think we're being greedy. Get it together, Carol. TikTok. August 1st is coming very quickly. 60 days or so left. We're not fucking around, Carol. So keep fucking around and you're going to find out. The Teamsters aren't playing. Keep it up, Carol. Hey, brothers and sisters. It's Pride Month. Teamsters have some information on that. They have some, as we discussed in my first episode, the Teamsters have the LGBTQ plus caucus to help support members of that community that may need help in their workplace. Also, my weekly plea to everybody to please download the Teamster UPS Teamster app rather. Every time you open it, hit the refresh button on the bottom right-hand corner. It's a little circle with an arrow on it to make sure that the information you're getting is up to date and accurate. My friend Jess, that was on a previous episode, she's been promoting Red Shirt Fridays. Apparently it was started somewhere else, and she's been promoting it in her area, and I'm helping her promote it here. Red Fridays is we're encouraging all inside employees, so non-uniformed employees, to wear red shirts to work on Fridays when you're working inside the facilities as a sign of solidarity for the part-timers and their due in this contract of getting some progression on some long-time shortcomings. So I learned that about her. I helped her make a flyer. I'll be putting that flyer on the screen and printing some up for my local. So yeah, from now until we obtain a fair or reasonable contract for the part-timers, let's show some solidarity, whether you're full-time or part-time. If you're a non-uniformed employee working in the building, wear a red shirt on Fridays in solidarity. That's an easy, active participation without a lot of effort. Teamster Media Hub on Facebook. If you're looking for my show or other shows related to the Teamsters or the labor movement or the contract, the number of podcasts are growing all the time, and we all have our own little twist on things. It's actually kind of cool to check out some of the other podcasts. I've linked some of them to my show on YouTube, but one podcast, a professionally done podcast by Teddy Astro, called The Upsurge. This is a professional production, and this is what they do for a living. They're part of the media, and this is a show. So if you check it out and you like their content, I highly encourage you to contribute to the show. I will post a link for that in the description below the video. Teddy has about 60 supporters right now. He's looking to get about 200 in order to sustain the show for a long period of time. It costs them money. It's their job. It's not just a hobby. Action team training. So I talk about this every week for the last few weeks. It's now June. There's trainings on the weekends for the month of June. I don't see any dates into July. I thought there would be more, but I don't know if there is. Maybe it's too close. But if you haven't been to an action team training, go to the UPS app. There is a list of current ones. If there's one in your area, you do have to pre-register for it. Next two shows. Next week, I already have recorded, so they should be out on time. I have Matt Cavagrati from the Tennessee Hub, Air Hub. And he comes on to talk about Article 40 and the forgotten few at UPS. It's a story that I learned about a few months ago. I think he appeared on the Upsurge, and I decided to interview him some more on my show because Article 40 is like the forgotten stepchild of the bargaining unit, and they are. So when UPS first started doing their air services, they asked for a lot of concessionary things to get their air program up and running and competitive with FedEx. And, when anything first starts, there's going to be hurdles and bumps and bruises and whatnot. So the Teamsters, were very accommodating to the company and allowed our workers to basically be abused. And at first it was supposed to be like a temporary thing, but over the years, it just never got fixed. And so a lot of these members don't have minimum guarantees. A lot of them are making, horrific pay. They get to work and they're working for $15 an hour or whatever. And they work like an hour and a half and they send them home. So like they made $22. Like, you're kidding me, right? I mean, was it even worth coming in and all the time getting ready and packing a lunch in case you needed it or whatever? And it's absolutely insane what he talks about. And Matt has, along with other supporters of his, led a national campaign to fix Article 40. And in particular, remove the preamble to Article 40, which basically locks up all negotiations for Article 40 under the national only. And, he talks about just getting that removed alone would be huge, because that would allow future contracts to negotiate on the local level where those members actually work, instead of only be covered under the national. So it's a very entertaining episode. He's a great guest. He very smart, and check that out. That'll be next week's show. And the following week, I already have that show taped. Alana, who is better known as your union sister on TikTok, I caught a TikTok of hers where she's talked about PACs. PAC is the acronym. And I didn't know what that was. I I guess I always knew that the Teamsters and other unions had connections to politicians or whatever, but what I didn't know is that they can't use union dues to lobby and endorse candidates that support the labor movement. You have to do that out of donations from the members, not their dues. So she talks about what those union packs do, some of the advantages to them, how they can make your negotiation of contracts a little bit easier by getting laws passed so you don't have to negotiate that stuff. And I learned that the Teamsters, theirs is called DRIVE, the acronym DRIVE for Democrat, Republican, Independent Voter Education. Anyways, we cover that in the show. It was she was a very good guest, very entertaining. I think you guys will enjoy it. And of course, obviously, you want to check out her TikToks. She does some good content. And last but not least, some sad content, actually. I learned about a fellow Teamster named Moe Allen. He works for USF Holland, and as a father, this show, what this father Moe went through broke my heart. I have a son that's 9 years old, and Moe had a daughter that passed away yesterday. When I started putting together the show, she was battling vasculitis, which I don't know a ton about, but it attacks your bloodstream, your organs. It prevents blood flow going to your extremities. It attacks your intestines. It weakens your lungs. It does all kinds of nasty stuff. And it got so bad, I think she was originally diagnosed back in the fall. And about 2 months ago, a little over 60 days ago, his daughter Amanda was admitted to the hospital and had to have both of her legs amputated. And that just set off a roller coaster of nasty infections. Her blood pressure kept dropping. Every time they had a victory in one area, 2 or 3 other battles would pop up. She fought off a lot of nasty infections and viruses, and the vasculitis ended up taking a good portion of her intestines. And tragically, after 2 months of fighting relentlessly and courageously, she succumbed to her illness yesterday. I feel for this father. And not only was she a daughter, but she was a wife and a mother to a special needs child. And obviously, with what she was going through, her dad and her husband were with her as much as they could be around the clock. But living almost an hour away from the hospital, commuting back and forth. Obviously, you can imagine they didn't work very much during that time. So they're in a desperate way, and really could use some kindness from people right now. So if you have any way to send anything, there's a GoFundMe page set up for her family. I will post that to this. It's a very touching, moving story if you're a parent. I can imagine if something like that happened to my son, I'd be devastated. So anyways, I'm going to wrap up this video with a TikTok in honor of Amanda, and a celebration of who she is and her battle. And anyways, if there's any way you can help, I would appreciate it. Solidarity forever, brothers and sisters. We'll catch you on Tuesday. Bye.
Captain Pink, so soft and warm. You've had me wrapped around your finger since the day you were born. You're beautiful, baby, from the outside in. Chase your dreams, but always know the road that'll lead you home again. Go on, take on this whole world, but to me, you know you'll always be that crooked little smile could melt my heart of stone.